My perspective comes from a perspective that won't work for all of you. That's why the roundtable discussion is so important. But let me tell you about Oshkosh. 60,000 people. It is a small city that operates like a small town. Conversations and word of mouth are how things get done. The director of the Grand Opera House is a visible position. There's no anonymity involved, as I've discovered in grocery stores and video stores or whatever along the way. Interacting with the community is important. It became no more important than when the paradigm shift really happened for me, and that was 2009. Mojo was just talking about 2009, what a great year that was economically for everyone. The Grand Opera House was built in 1883. It's the oldest operating theater building in the state of Wisconsin. Absolutely beautiful building that needed sprinklers. It's owned by the city of Oshkosh and operated by a nonprofit foundation that employs all of us and does the programming. We needed sprinklers, so I had to go to the city, the owners, and ask them to put sprinklers in the building, and they consented to do that, which was great. Problem solved. Then I started to look at the building. The building had been renovated in 1986. This was 2009. We were about to discover that the building, everything visible in the building was renovated in 1986. Because when they went into the ceiling and the roof structure, they discovered that the 7 main roof trusses, dated back to 1883, had been deteriorating. And one fine day in February of 2009, with a full house scheduled for that night, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the Grand was condemned. I was told it would be 48 hours. We thought we'd get the fix. We'd be open after the weekend. We had to take down the show, which of course had already played the night before, so it was already tacked and set up and on stage. We had to take it down and move it across town to a different auditorium. It was our only sellout, so 600 people had to be contacted. We successfully opened that show a half hour late across town with all in attendance. Turned our sights to the next night, moved the next show. Then came the news, and that 48-hour closure became 18 months. So I now had no venue during the recession that we're all still recovering from. We moved 26 shows that spring and didn't cancel a single show. We went to 7 different venues. The show must go on. It was so important to us. And then we had to figure out how we were going to survive, because in essence, we knew that the whole 2010 season was not going to happen by that time. 2 things had to happen. We had to stay visible. One of the geographic realities of Oshkosh is we're 20 minutes south of a major performing arts center. So we had to try to hold our market share, such as it was, of awareness in the community. How are we going to do it? What we're going to do about shows, what we're going to do about community engagement. I attended a session, I don't know, it was a few years ago, and it's rare that something really sticks with me the way that this did. And I want to shout out Ken Foster, who's here presenting elsewhere, because I think he was the one that said it. The ground is constantly shifting under us now. And if we don't learn to move with the shifting ground, we're doomed. I thought it was such an appropriate analogy. And that's what we had to do. So what were we going to do? The first thing I had to do was keep some sort of schedule. I had to keep the educational shows going. So we kept our educational series happening. I had to stay in touch, frankly, with all my agent friends and say, look, I'm going to be gone for a year, but I'm not gone forever. Don't forget us. Don't lose us along the way. We had to do the same with our customers. We had to do the same with our donors and our sponsors, who ironically, without those pesky shows draining the expenses away, we had one of our best years for profit over income over expense, because the donors stayed with us through the whole thing. It was amazing. And truthfully something that saved us. We did a show in the lobby of the theater, the only part that wasn't condemned. We dragged chairs in there, hung lights, and we did the Fantastics for 70 people at a time in the lobby for a month, just to prove that we were still alive. Our box office stayed at its central location, even as we did a limited number of shows in different locations, because I wanted people coming to the theater to buy their tickets. We had to support the renters of the theater, who had to go elsewhere. The high schools and the community organizations that use the hall all had to have different places. So we gave them tech support, we gave them ticket support. We had to keep that alive. We became more engaged in the community in the course of staying alive. And then as we reopened, a funny thing happened. Our identity had changed. The Grand had become the place where not only were the great touring artists performing, but where the local arts were happening. And that was a whole new identity, different from that big box up the road. We had a new vision, a new awareness of what we were going to do with it. I negotiated with the symphony, and we brought them into residency. I negotiated with the community theater. We brought them into residency. A new regional resident theater company was formed, and now we have 3 resident companies, the symphony, community theater, and the resident organization. They have reciprocal agreements. I let them rehearse on dark days. They let me sell their stuff as season packages. It sounded like an absolutely crazy idea when we gave it a shot. But a funny thing happened on the way to success. They started to sell season packages. And people started to say, well, I'd like to go to that symphony thing, and maybe someone who's coming in from the outside. And people started to mix and match what they were going to because they could save money doing it. And we started to find their way to the theater. But the thing that really changed for me was the idea that because I didn't have a venue, it became more important to give the identity of the Grand a sense beyond the building. It was more than the building. It was a state of mind. It was a state of mind that had to reach out into the community. So when I started coming to APAP 20 years ago, I was 12. I was the last guy that would ever do a residency. Absolutely the last person. That sounded like a lot of work. Now we do several. And probably I'm looking at 7. And I'm looking at a couple of you up here as I say that out loud. I'm looking at 7 of them next year. I've discovered that getting the arts into the community involves the community in a funny way, because guess what? Then they start to support the arts. I have found new donors by taking the audience engagement out of the hall and into the community. The first one I did was called The Arts, the Other Basic Human Need. And any of you who has ever written a grant knows exactly where that came from. I was dog tired of writing a grant being told, I'm sorry, we only fund basic human needs. So, it's okay, we'll call this the other basic human need. And I went to an old friend, the late Robert Bluestone, who was a fixture at these conferences, and I said, it's time. That was code, because when I first met him, I said, there's no way I'm going to do a residency or present a classical guitarist. To which he smiled and said, then just come visit every year. When it's time, you'll know. So I said, it's time. Here's what I want to do. I'm going to bring you in town for 4 days. You're never going to perform on stage. We're going to go to the Domestic Violence Center. We're going to go to the Cancer Chemo Center. We're going to go to the food pantry. We're going to go to where the people are. We're going to go where the people don't get to experience the arts. And you're going to do your magic there. And he just laughed. He laughed the laugh of someone who had planted a seed and watched it grow. That residency is 5 years old now, and one of our signature fundraising events. There is an absolutely magical thing that happens. Kevin, I know you're going to say this, I apologize. There's an absolutely magical thing that happens when an artist touches someone in the community who has not experienced the arts. So it's transformed this, what I hope is the second half, and not the second, 2 years of my career. It's transformed things now. It's now we have a responsibility to give back to the community, because if we don't, who will? And we have to do it with a faith and a commitment and a desire and this strong feeling from our heart that if we do it, the support will come. It's been my experience so far, and hopefully it stays that way. Thanks.